From the world of AV programming and control with James King, I'm Steve Greenblatt, and this is Ask the Programmer. James, how are you today? I'm looking forward to having our conversation without a guest, which we always value. But I think you and I have some great things that we could talk about.
Oh, I'm doing good, Steve. Yes, it's always great when we have our guests. I like it. You mentioned our last episode. We had a string of episodes that were full of very knowledgeable guests with wealth of information, and it was great to have them on. But it's also great when we can just chat and talk about what's on our mind and cover topics that come in. So, it's always good to hear from each other.
Absolutely. I like that. And I think that that's really where we started this was all about having conversations that have to do with programming and either addressing questions that people have, clarifying things, or just talking about stuff that we encounter on either in our past or in our current situations. So one of those things that came up that we are going to talk about today is how do we deliver technical support effectively? And if we drill down a little bit more, um, what is the best way for people to be helped if they need assistance with an AV system? And many times that comes down to the user interacting with the user interface, which can be a touch panel or a button panel or a web page or a remote, whatever that is. And in my experience and in my history, we've always been asked to be participate in providing documentation, whether it's a user manual or screenshots or some narrative about how the system works, because part of the deliverable is a user manual for the system and also all of the documents that go with all of the components and of course drawings and so forth. So from a user's perspective though, is having a user manual if really important to them? What has been your experience?
I will say no, it's not important to them. And this may be an unpopular opinion, but especially in my realm, my work, we're higher education. I had a boss who said this. I mean, I've heard this thousand million times from thousand million people is our users are not calling us to say hello. They're calling us because they're in front of their class, something's not working correctly, and they don't want to look like a fool. So if you are sitting there going, "Oh, there's a user manual there," they're already. The best way I can put it is they already have blinders on. They already know something's not working. I'm in front of 40, 50,000 people, whatever size the class is. All eyes are on me. They are seeing, I don't want to use colors, but they're very narrow looking in what they're seeing. And they're not going to, even if they see the user document, and even the user document could be as clear as possible, they're not going to be in the mindset to follow it. Because when something's not going right, our minds are not in a logical thinking, and user manuals are logic. We are in a emotional state. You can't have a logical conversation with someone who's in a emotional state. Think about when you're with your friends, your partner, your spouse, your kids. If one's having a logical conversation and the other one's having emotional, you could be talking about the same thing, but both not get to the same area because your conversations are different. And that's where tech people, the front line, the help desk, the people who are coming to the room, they need to recognize that, hey, this person is having an emotional response to what's going on. They're stressed, something's not going right. I need to remind them I'm here to help them. because now we're not in an emotional state. We can think logically. We can see what's going on logically and fix it. So
So
that's where I was saying is I don't think giving a user document is beneficial. I mean, how many of us read our user manual for our cars? Are you going back to like that's now, granted, I have only when I'm in a calm state and I see like, oh, this light popped on. What does that mean? I'm not like, oh no, my car's broken. And when I'm in that emotional state, I ain't looking at the user manual. It's one of those where, hey, this light popped on. I don't know what that means. Cool, let me pull out the book and look at it. I'm in that mindset. Not like, oh no, my car's broken. I gotta get to work. Oh, the traffic's. I ain't even looking at a user manual. I'm going to the garage and getting this fixed.
I think you touch on a lot of important things, and I like the way you're saying providing documentation is logical thinking, and it also assumes that everything is working. So this is the way you use the system, and these are the steps that you take, and those steps are don't take into consideration that something didn't occur or something was the system wasn't in an ideal state. So to your point, those things when you are having a problem are not going to necessarily fix them. And I think everybody should be able to relate to that. We rarely find the solution in a user manual, but we might go to it to be able to say this is how we've been told to use the system, but it's not necessarily going to fix it or overcome a problem that you're encountering. Um, what would be a good way of being able to deliver technical support? Is it training for people to better understand the system and feel comfortable, or is there something else that we can provide, or another avenue we can go down?
It's a yes and yes, providing training will help because training allows you to be in a control environment. So you both are in the right mindset of, hey, we are going through this. We're not in a pressure situation. We're going through this together. If something goes wrong, I'm not going to have egg on my face. Let's admit it. That's what our users think. When they're up in front of our audience and something goes wrong, I now have egg on my face. People are laughing at me. Um, Even though they may not be, that's what our mind thinks. So we are now in a state that we can process things easier. So training allows us to learn something. So when we are in front of people, we are better chance of our muscle memory coming in. And it's like, oh, I remember this from my training. This is how I do this. So that's one avenue. Providing a user guide, I do think is valuable, but not in a troubleshooting sense. But providing them where they can sit there and read it, or even like I said with the car, like when I'm in that mindset, like, hey, I don't know what this means. I'm not in a emotional state. I'm in a logical. Let me go check the document, see what the document says. I can cross-reference. I can go to my source of truth. Um, so that's another avenue. Having somebody to talk to, that is key. That's why frontline workers, the tier one, the boots on the ground are so viable, so important because they're the ones interfacing with our users and they're the ones talking to them and they're the ones who are saying that they're in an emotional state. Let's get them to a spot I can help them one way or another, either escalating it up or whatever needs to be done. And then I will also admit we're programmers. We can't, we like to tinker, we like to improve, we like to automate. So even having AI or an automated system in there to try to combat some of these things. Prime example, Steve, like you said last episode, having the loop like, oh, checking the equipment, say checking I'll use my world here, projector. Okay, I'm checking the projector. I can't talk to it. Oh, wait, I'm going to check it again. Oh, wait, I can't talk to it. I'm going to check it again. Oh, wait, I can't talk to it. That third time, automating send a help person. That is a good thing us programmers can throw in there. Those automation or how even advancing with AI now. Oh, maybe we can take AI and have them do something like, reboot the system. Maybe we know that the system needs to be rebooted and AI can realize that and reboot the system. So those things are always good. So it's a yes and.
Yeah, I liked a lot of the things that you discussed. One thing that I would comment on about training, and you've mentioned this before, and I've seen other people do it, is training. You can show people how to use the system, but we're biased because we know how it should work and we have uh, programmed it to work a certain way. I think training of can revolve around the user, let them put them in front of it and say, use it, and then train based on how they've operated it. It would, I have thought for some time that how many programmers actually get to see their systems in practice? How many of them get to sit in the back of the room and see somebody operating and interacting almost either whether they're visible or almost silently, just observing, because I think that that would say a lot and be a great way to be able to identify some of the help that somebody might be needing, and also maybe some of the misunderstandings or the or maybe common issues that somebody would run into. I think all of those are really great. And going down the path that you were saying is, I think it's really important too to understand, and whether it's the programmer, the technician, the help desk person, that we have to treat people with kindness and patience and understand that they're already going to be escalated, and they're even they may be the simplest solution, but we have to be kind about how we help them to resolve it. It's um, there's the users are not there to understand the technology. They're there to do their job, and the technology is there to support them. And we've said that many times on this show.
Oh yeah. And in my whole career, I've been in higher ed since 2008 full time. Like I won't count my time as a student worker. I have interfaced with countless users, from students to professors to doctors to admins, all different levels, all different skill level, all of that stuff. Out of all the people I've ever interacted with, I've only had one where I felt they didn't approach their issue in an emotional state. They would call, they knew they had a problem, and their response was, I'm having this issue, you're the expert, you take control. And they left it at that and let us, and then we asked questions and all that. I mean, all the countless users I've ever dealt with, it's always that one I had. 99% of the time, it's the user's like, oh, this is not working. They're clicking and they're doing the same button that was like, oh, I'm hitting the power button. It's not working. I'm hitting it again. I'm hitting it again. Oh, no, stop. Like, just relax. Let me help you. Like, yeah.
Absolutely. As we wrap up, I think another thing to think about too is that we have different audiences too. You have your your everyday user that's probably doesn't need to know how everything works, but then you also have the support staff, perhaps people that are on the help desk, or the technicians, or the in-house uh, integrator that is needs to be able to understand a little bit more behind the scenes. And as you mentioned earlier, part of what we can do as programmers, and part of what programming can solve, is to be able to detect problems before the users find them. and to be able to better support the support staff. And, whether it's to provide, um, higher, more intelligent systems that, like you said, if something stops communicating, it raises a flag and sends out an alert. I know we're all inundated with monitoring systems, and there's so many different flavors of them, but having some way of being able to uh, assess the health of your systems and diagnose things remotely, and having what is affectionately called technician controls or tech panels, to be able to do some testing or troubleshooting. Those are all great tools for somebody to be able to provide a better and more effective level of technical support. Anything you wanted to share there?
I think you sum it up. The only thing that I don't know, it popped in my head when you say intelligent systems. I, I am not a fan of that. I like, and I was trying to think why. Okay, everyone talks about AI and how smart it is, and I'm like, AI is not smart. It's just very, very good programming. It can do things quicker than the human can do. Cool, but it can only do what's it's told to do. But same with us as humans, we can only do what we know. We can't do. And we have the ability to learn. AI has the ability to learn. But I think where I'm landing on why I don't like intelligent systems is I still feel even AI, and maybe it'll change, is AI and our systems that we program, however you putting AI or not, can't do critical thinking, whereas humans can. And the ones who have problem critical thinking as humans, we use the opposite of intelligent. I'm not gonna. And again, it's happened. We all know that sometimes we don't use our critical thinking skills, but I think that element right there. Hey, this is telling me this. This is telling me this. To be able to come up with critical thinking is what separates us from the intelligent systems, and that's why I don't like the word intelligent system because they don't have that critical thinking.
I think that's a great clarification and a really good point. Nothing is going to get better, and intelligence, I think, is developed over time and is iterative. And so maybe a way of thinking about it is that we should look to improve upon our programming capabilities and um, learn from the feedback that we're receiving from users to make the systems more effective and be able to provide more um, tools and more capable solutions than we have in the past. That I guess that's it, but that's a really good clarification there. Nothing's ever going to um, become more intelligent or more capable. It has to be programmed to do more and have more capabilities. Um, this is a great conversation, and I hope those of you out there that are listening and watching enjoyed it and can relate to it. Share your thoughts about it. Let us know what works for you from a technical support perspective and what role programmers can play in making technical support more effective, going beyond the user manuals and doing things that really can add more value to our AV solutions. James, how could people get in touch with you, continue this conversation, and if there's any final thoughts that you wanted to share?
Again, as I always say, Google me, you'll find me. On the Ask the Program community on LinkedIn, I'm out there. Again, Google me, you'll find me.
Absolutely. We're going to try to keep the conversations going with some of these podcasts, and I think that it would be really great to make this a two-way dialogue between us and those of you out there listening. So please use the Ask the Programmer LinkedIn community for that conversation. For me, you can reach me at Steve Greenblatt on social media. My company, Control Concepts, is a supporter of this podcast. And what we do is we help programmers make their uh, jobs a little bit easier by providing some of the building blocks that you need to interface with products or add more functionality to your systems. And that can be found at controlconcepts.net. Uh, if you are listening to this podcast, you can see us on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can listen on your favorite podcast player. Both of those places, you could leave a rating, review, comment. We'd love to hear from you. And we're also looking for more ideas or questions or guests. So please reach out to us if you're interested. So thank you for listening and watching. This has been Ask the Programmer.